so welcome back to my channel, Being Free PH. So, in my channel again, we talk about mostly financial stuff, paano mag-invest, paano mag-create, start ng business and stuff like that, right? But for today, pag-usapan natin is your journey to financial freedom, right? Kasi I've been doing series of, what do you call this, seminars sa office, right? And one of the things na lagi kong pinag-uusapan or laging naming topic is financial freedom, right? But every time I go to these seminars or conduct these seminars, usually there are a lot of people who are investing already, right? But medyo iba yung pananaw nila at pananaw ko sa financial freedom or the journey to that financial freedom. So let's go ahead and take a look at maybe some of the things that um, what do we mean by financial freedom, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So question: what is financial freedom? Financial freedom can be different to different people, right? So for me, it's different compared to someone siguro I've talked to several of my events. Most of you most likely would when we talk about financial freedom, usually two things that comes into play, right? Every time na yan ang pinag-uusapan, what is financial freedom? Um, One is usually pera. It involves money, right? It involves money or it involves something to do with investing. But the main question is financial freedom really about money or is it really about investing? Right? So I think this is where we need to understand what is financial freedom, right? Why do we need to do that? Because this is a journey, right? So a journey has a start and has an end, right? But the difference here is you have a specific time frame, right? And one of the most valuable resource that we have is time. And that's something that we cannot get back, right? So once we start investing, right, it's hard kung magkakamali ka along the way, right? For the wrong reasons or, different. Kasi ito yung in ngayon. For example, during this time, ang in ngayon is mga cryptocurrency, right? Or yung mga um, play for pay, parang ganyan, right? You play and then you get paid for playing a game, right? Or you are rewarded. So you need to understand this first. So let's take a look at it. So for me, financial freedom is just like this photo that or this photo that we have. Like it's a happy family, right? So that's the main objective for me. When I say financial freedom, I have this family, or I'm with my family. We're happy, just like on this photo, right? But this is again, this is not, this is not my family. This is a photo that I got from the internet, right? Um, and then one another thing is, you know, the feeling of if you take a look at this photo, it's more of like parang satisfied ka na sa buhay. You're content already, right? Contentment ba yun? Basta parang ganun, right? Siya. Parang, okay, that's life, right? Satisfied, happy. I don't need to worry about anything else, right? So I think that's those are the concepts, right? That we need to understand when we talk about financial freedom. We need to understand ano ba yung mga goals mo, right? It's not just a financial goal, but it's your life goals. Yun yung pinaka main point dito, right? Again, yes, it involves money. Yes, it involves investing. Pero you need to understand what is that first, right? Kasi madaming avenues yan. I'll go through it a little bit later, no? So, what is financial freedom for you? And for Filipinos, basically, siguro may yung mga tatlo or apat na definition yan, or main definition, right? Siguro first, let's talk about security. when we talk about financial freedom, for most of the Pinoys or Pinays, right? They're just talking about security, like may pambayad ako sa bills, sa bahay, sa rent. Well, ngayon hindi ka tayo masyadong lumalabas, right? So car or transportation, hindi siya masyadong issue, right? Pero there are folks kasi na parang I experienced this before. Yung papasok ka na lang, hihiram ka pa or hihingi ka pa sa parents mo or kasama mo sa bahay. Like, pre, pahingi naman ng 5 pesos or 5 pesos. Hindi ko lang magkano pamasahe before. 5 pesos or 8 pesos. Pamasahe lang, right? So merong mga ganun. So that's why for them when we talk about financial freedom, it's the freedom from that yung humihingi ka pa or yung kulang pa or wala pang sahod, ubos na yung pera mo, right? So that's security. So I think that's one of the major components or major factor when I'm talking about financial freedom. So yan yung parang isa sa pinaka top, right? Another one is lifestyle, right? So during our seminars or my seminars about financial freedom or investing, right? One of the major or one of the reason why they want to invest or they want to save is because of lifestyle, right? Um, Prior to pandemic, laging may piso sale, laging may mga tours in demand. It's actually sa Philippines, I think, aside from OFWs, BPO sector, transport or tourism is the third one, right? Parang I think that's a third leg of the Philippine economy, right? So malaking bagay siya, right? And that's something that we want to experience as well, right? So lifestyle, yan yung isa sa mga reason why or definition ng financial freedom is to be able to buy what I want, to be able to eat where I yung mga sikat na restaurants or with the sikat na chefs, right? And when I go to these restaurants, hindi ko titingnan yung price. It's more of like what I really like, right? So, like for me, pinaka gusto ko is chicken, right? Pero at buti na lang chicken is a little bit cheaper, right? But if you go to steaks, yan, expensive yan, no? Pero I'm not big with those ano kasi, right? So I'm more of a chicken person. Nakaka-save ako sa mga ganun. But anyways, right? So yung mga ganung bagay, I want a certain bag or a certain shoes or I want to go to a certain place, right? So, yan yung mga gusto natin, right? Especially for Pinoys. I think it goes back to, because when I attended one of the seminars then, right, and I talked to one of the participants with this activity, one of the reason why they spend is because during their childhood days or, when they were kids, they're not able to get, for example, brand new clothes, brand new shoes or toys. So once they're able to have that financial capacity, yun yung mga gusto nilang mabili, right? Or especially if they have kids, sasabihin nila sa kids nila na or they would like their kids to experience yung hindi nila na experience like having toys or going to different places, right? So that's one of the other reason or another factor or definition when we talk about financial freedom. And for now, I think the last one that I'll have is wellness, right? Health. That's very important, especially when we grow old, right? Minsan mahirap, so walang sasalo sa financial natin, right? So we want to be as part of yung first na sinabi ko yung security, right? Is wellness, right? It's more of like do I have medicines? Can I buy medicines or can I have support when I get old? No. So those are the things. Isama na rin natin dito yung retirement, right? Because that's one thing. But one of the major um, parang wrong connotation when we say retirement I think there's an old notion when we say retirement. Retirement is more of pag um, at the age of 60 or 65, tas wala ka ng work or hindi ka na mag-work, right? When people would say early retirement, it's more of like, hindi, sabihin natin, at the age of 45 or 50, magre-retire na ako. When you ask them, what do you mean by that? Ang usually sasabihin nila is, hindi na sila mag-work, right? Pero every time I talk about it, isipin mo, if you retire at age 50 and mabuhay ka ng hanggang 80 or 90 years old. So that's about 30 to 40 years na dapat punuan mo ng retirement fund. So that's a lot, right? So even the rich people like the Bill Gates of the world, the um, si Jeff Bezos of the world or whoever, right? Um, they don't retire, right? Most of the most of the big people, like let's go to the Philippines, right? Um, the C's, the Ayalas, they still work, right? They still manage the business. So I think we need to understand the definition of retirement, right? I what I'm guessing is mostly I'm not employed, but I have a source of income. I have my own business or investments or but mostly it's more of like I have a business, right? May it be a passive business like rental or like something you manage, pero hindi na ikaw yung full time na ikaw yung gumagawa. It's more of like you have people doing it for you, right? So again, as Filipinos, I think that's one of the things that we need to understand because we have a no I even for me before I have a notion na pagka sinabi kong retirement wala na akong hindi na ako magtatrabaho, right? And when I say passive income, yung as in wala hindi na ako mag-work. But when I started working, when I started to understand these things, it's totally different, right? There's no such thing as really passive income, right? When you don't need to work, you still need to work, right? But it's not like you, for example, yung like let's say damit, right? Um, if you studied for example dressmaking, so ikaw yung gumagawa ng damit, right? Tas ikaw pa yung nagdi-design. But now, when we say passive, is there's somebody else doing that for you, right? So ikaw na lang yung nagsasabi na ito yung design natin or ikaw na yung nagche-check nung um, profit mo or paano mo siya i-marketing, mga ganun, right? But you're not doing the actual work, but it's more of like you manage the business, right? So yun yung siguro definition natin when we say passive income, right? And the same thing with retirement is when we say retirement, it's more of having our own business as well, right? Or um, yeah, parang ganun. So so those are the things that we need to understand, right? When we talk about financial freedom. So before you start investing, before you put your hard earned money into something, you need to understand first your definition of of financial freedom for you, right? Because again, it's different, right? Like for me, when just when I was doing my when I'm thinking about it, right? When I'm doing my goal setting, initially I was saying gusto kong kotse, gusto kong condo, bahay sa Baguio kasi I'm from Baguio, bahay sa Sikihor, that's because dun yung partner ko, right? Um, but now it's hindi na siya ganun eh, right? It's simplified, especially when pandemic came, right? It's simplified na okay, this is what I want pala in reality. Everything else are just kasi nakikisabay kasi ganun yung nababasa natin, ganun yung naproproject ng ibang tao, right? So you really need to understand where or your own definition of financial freedom, right? So that you can start your journey correctly or yung sa tama, yung at the right um, pacing as well, right? So here, right? This is very um, paano, sensationalized or something, right? People would always say, especially the older people, right? I used to do this as well. Is dream big, set goals, and take actions. Let's focus on the first word, dream big, right? Usually, when I'm doing this now, right, with the past few seminars I conducted, I challenged this notion already of dream big. You don't need to dream big if you're already happy with what you have, right? Why do I need to dream big if at the end of the day it would just give me problems? Because again, having a big dream would just give you this, right? Uh, I'll give you an example, right? For example, right now, I'm earning, let's say, 30,000 to 50,000. But I'm happy with that. I'm able to provide for my family. I'm able to travel, right? I'm renting. But a lot of people are saying that you need to have your own house, right? So what do? You dream big. I'll buy a condo, right? But having a condo or buying a condo, especially now in Metro Manila, I think the cheapest that I've seen is, let's say you pay 25,000 pesos a month, and that's almost how much of your salary, right? For 30 to 50,000, that's half, right? And then one third or one fourth pa nung sweldo mo is tax, right? So wala na maiwan sa'yo. Now you're stressed because you want to have that condo. But is it really something that you want? Or is it because somebody else is telling you, right? Somebody else, like your social media, the yung nakikita mo mga photos ng mga friends mo, right? So, you need to understand. Kasi, again, for me, once you say dream, equivalent stress, right? Or problems. Kasi mahirap yun eh. Right? You need to, for example, okay, let's start with yung sa sweldo na 30,000. Let's say 30,000. And your dream is to have a condo. Right? You need to work hard. Right? Like, really work hard. The 30,000, 50,000 salary is not gonna allow you to buy a condo. So what you need to do, if you're employed, there's one thing that I usually tell people, right? Is get promoted, right? Being promoted allows you to increase your salary. So once you increase your salary, then you have more money to save or invest, right? Another is, if you want to be just employed, is you need to move from one company to the other, right? To be able to actually increase your salary like times 2 or times 3. Okay? And before you can even do that, you need to be good at what you're doing. So for example, for me, I'm a associate training manager for a BPO company, right? Aside from all the trainings that I get from the company, is I also invest in my own personal development. Especially now that I'm moving up to different roles, there are other responsibilities. So I need to learn this stuff. And for me to deliver, I need to continuously learn as well, right? So, for example, right now I invested in talent development, right? It's like, I don't know how much, right? It's like 10 to 15,000 a year investment, right? So I invested there, so that I can be good at what I'm doing. I can produce results, and in turn get me higher. Have a higher increase or increase in my salary. Or when I move to a different company, I have those skills, right? It's not about knowledge. Well, yes, knowledge and skills, but also you're able to execute it. I guess that's the most important thing is you're able to execute it. In our world, you need someone to be able to execute your ideas, right? So for now, it's more of like, are you able to delegate, or are you able to do it on your own, right? So it's just that it's a matter of you have great ideas, but you should be able to execute it, right? And in order for you to do that is you need to have experience, you need to understand the theories behind it and practice about it, right? Learn from your mistakes. But that's one thing. So instead of, because there are some folks that I've talked to when I do my seminars, is the first question is who here is already investing in, like, say, stock market or have their own business. And a lot of people would raise their hand saying, yes, I'm investing in the stock market, right? But the problem there usually is, for example, their initial investment is 10,000, and they've been in the stock market for 5 years, and they haven't added anything. So that's just the initial investment, and that's it, right? But in any business or investment that you do, you need to be able to continuously add capital to them, right? Because that would not grow if it's just, the initial investment. It's hard to see, um, for example, in the stock market, a stock that would go up 100%, 200% most of the time, right? Maybe in a year, there's one. Sad if you're not able to ride it, or if you're not able to invest into it, right? One of the things that I was able to capitalize on was, I joined this company where we sell copper mask, right? So I have this website. If you want, you can go to this website. It's www.joyofm.com/shop, right? On that website, or joyofm.com, would do. You could go to that website. It would just redirect you to one of this marketplace, right? And we sell their copper mask, right? It's one of the few products that we're able to capitalize and be able to see that, you know the marketability of the product. So there was a time that we're able to sell like 70 boxes of copper mask, right? But of course, as we go along, there are cycles, right? So each product, if it's new, there's a high demand. But once the hype is over, then that would steadily decline, right? Until you get to a certain point that, okay, so this is the true number that you're able to sell this, right? So that's one of the things that you need to understand as well, right? But the question there is, I would not be able to capitalize on it if I don't have funds, right? So that's where you have to be able to have extra funds, or be able to have good credit so that people or the banks can lend you money, right? For example, for certain banks or credit cards, they offer like 12% annually, or there's a promo during the pandemic last year. There's a promo for your credit card, right? If you loan a certain amount, they'll just charge you 59 or 0.59% monthly, right? So that's about, for this, just make it like 60-70%, or 6 to 7%, or let's make it 10%, right? But if your profit margin is about, let's say, 20%, so not bad, right? So you use somebody else's money to get additional 10%. So those are the things that we need to know, right? Because again, um, your goals, especially now, should be able to you should be able to say, am I willing to do the extra work, the extra effort, right? Most often than not, you need to have right before you just called second job, right? Or now it's side hustles, right? So you need to have that. The beauty of this is we have the technology, right? To be able to have like other sources of income while you're working as full-time employee, right? So one of this is content creator, like the one, like there are folks that can earn a lot from being content creator, like this one. I'm creating content, right? But um this is just another avenue, right, for people to get paid, right? But in the Philippines, it's not as big as in the US or other countries, right? But what you get here in the Philippines are endorsement. So I think that's where the money is, not really in being able to have, like, for example, in YouTube or in Facebook, right? You get money from ads there, but it's more of partnering with local companies or global companies. For example, one of the things that I think Alodia, I am not sure if you know Alodia and Will Dasovich, right? They have a lot of partnership, right? So I think they partnered with Century Tuna, Alodia with Facebook and PlayStation, and they play certain games, right? So those are the things that wasn't available before. Now you only need is an internet connection, a phone that can capture what you're doing, and that can be a source of income already, right? Or you can be a coach to somebody, right? If you're good in training someone, maybe have that, right? But again, you need to do the extra mile. It's not always just, okay, I have my goal and that's it, right? So again, it's always action. So going back to where we are a while ago, right? It's more of like big dreams. It doesn't For me, it doesn't need to be big. Just have a dream that would, or a goal. Let's make it a goal. Let's have a goal that would make you happy, right? So what's that? What's that? Picture out what would make you happy, right? Because right now you need to see, am I happy? Am I happy with where am I? Parang ito na to. Masaya na ako dito. Bakit ko pa poproblemahan yung yung hindi naman problema, right? So the only thing that you need to worry, especially if you don't have that big dreams or something, is more of like the three things, right? The three basic things is security, wellness, ano pa ba isa? Security, wellness, and the current lifestyle that you have, right? Maybe just a small bit, right? Siguro, hindi every weekend, um, resto, but once a month or twice or once um, every quarter, right? If you're satisfied with that, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But you just need to understand kasi the higher your goals or your dream is, the that's an equivalent to the extra work that you need to do. Kasi wala ka pa dun eh, right? So kung times 10 yung, sabi natin, what you're earning right now is 50,000, but your goal is like to have a car, let's say that's 500,000. So yung extra effort for you is the same thing, right? So times 10 effort in order for you to be able to get that car, right? So always think about that when you think about financial freedom. You need to understand your goals, your life goals. Where are you most happy, or am I gonna be happy if I do this, if I achieve this? Like really truly happy about it. Kasi kung hindi, you're just creating stress. Because you lose money. When you invest, you lose money. There's no a guaranteed investment, right? I do forex, copy trading. I lost like um, 2/3 of what I invested there, right? But because I understand how it works, I'm just okay. But if it's your first time doing it, imagine all your or 2/3 of your hard-earned money is gonna be wiped out. Imagine that stress level, right? And if that money is something that you're gonna be using someday, for example, for tuition, for your kids, or for medication, imagine losing that, right? So that additional stress that would create, right? But then again, if you have that certain dream and you'll do everything in your powers to be able to achieve that, then go ahead, dream big, right? There's no one stopping you. So, um, with that said, we'll close this part, right? What I want you to do is to define what is financial freedom. What is your life goals? And if you're happy now with what you have, then what maybe take a look at your retirement, right? That's one thing that um, most Filipinos don't think about. But think about how much you need in order for you to be able to retire and live comfortably until 80 or 90 years old, right? Because that's usually the lifespan of Filipinos, especially if you're a woman, right? Because they live longer. So you need to think about that. If you're gonna retire at age 60 or 65 and you live until 80, 85, 90, 95, then you need to think about, do I have enough money to be able to survive financially and not be dependent to my kids, right? Um, Especially for Filipinos, we depend too much on our kids, right? For support. There's nothing wrong with it in our culture, but sometimes it's a burden as well, right? And we want to escape that burden because in order, instead of able to break the chain of that, or let's say because you're supporting other people, not just yourself, you're limiting to what you can have for you or your family, right? So um, instead of maybe being able to travel around the world because you're just supporting other people, you're just now traveling the Philippines, right? Or maybe just even within your area, right? If you're from Luzon, Luzon. Then if you're from Visayas, then Visayas. Then Mindanao, you're just in Mindanao, right? So you're just limited to that because you're supporting others, right? So we want to break that chain. We want to be independent when we retire. Okay? So again, this channel will be talking about more of where I can invest or what are the businesses or how to start a business. But I think it's very important that you need to understand first, or you need to know, why are you investing, or or let's define what is financial freedom. Why are you investing? What are your life goals, right? And if you're able to answer that question, then we can move forward, right? So on our next video, we'll talk about um, budgeting maybe or saving, and let's take a look at what are the basic or the first steps that you need to do in order for us to be able to invest or start a business or become financially free. All right. So again, that's it. Oh, sorry, I haven't introduced myself. So I'm Murfix, right? Um, I'm a full time employee, and I also have a side hustle with my partner. So that's the reason why I'm sharing this, is because a lot of folks are just stuck in being an employee and not being able to venture out. But I'm here to help you out, to answer some of your questions about how to invest, how to start a business while I'm a full-time employee. Okay, so we'll talk about that. We'll help you navigate through this maze of investing, right? So both stock market or whatever, or starting a business, we'll talk about it. We'll talk to some people who are expert in those fields. We'll talk about, do I need to file BIR and other um, government documents, right? We'll talk about that. But again, for now, the most important thing is why, right? Or what is financial freedom for you? Why do you need to invest? And what is your life goals? Okay, all right. So again, for our next video, we'll move to the next step, which is understanding um, your current financial status. Okay. So again, thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now, and please hit the like button and the notification bell as well. Thank you very much, and bye bye.